I think you should go ahead and get started. Yeah, so.
Hello there, good or greetings, because I cannot say good morning or good evening because we belong to different time zones. So you're welcome to Africaonline Media Corporation's weekly broadcast. We are an unscripted broadcast. We come to you live from Washington, D.C., Toronto, Houston, Texas, and all over the United States. And we're here because you are there. We thank you for always being with us. How are you this Sunday? Apparently, it is the first Sunday of the month. We will find that out in a bit. That said, you're welcome to Africaonline Media Corporation's Sunday broadcast. And we will start off right with our editorial, but already letting you know that the topic this Sunday is sex education. But first, our editorial with yours sincerely. Welcome to August, the eighth month of the year on the Gregorian calendar. This month has 31 days like many of the months. August, we are told, was named for the first Roman emperor, Augustus Caesar. In the northern half of the world, that is the northern hemisphere, August is the last month of summer. In the southern half, that is the southern hemisphere, it is the last month of winter. In other uses, August or August, depending on how you want to use it, August describes something esteemed or regal, that is belonging to royalty, even if linguists think that the word August, or August you will call the month, did not descend from the same root as the month. That being said, today is August the 7th. 7 days of the month have gone by. So August the 7th is the 219th day of the month on the Gregorian calendar. And on this day in 2003, Austrian-born Arnold Schwarzenegger announced his decision to run for office as governor of the state of California, that is in the United States, a mission he fulfilled, running 2 terms before retiring. One of the things to celebrate in August, there are many things, 22 things to remember and celebrate, but we cannot name all the 22. So one of the things to remember and celebrate is National Friendship Day, which occurs every year on the first Sunday of August. And today being August 7th and the first Sunday of the month, we are remembering and celebrating National Friendship Day. So, Brother Ronald, Sister Deborah, Reverend Pam, we're all friends on Friendship Day. So let's—
and Sister Ruth,
and Sister Ruth is joining, yes. So the day that is Friendship Day celebrates the importance of loving platonic relationships, and do we need to recall that friendships are the purest type of human relationships? For more than a century, humanity has celebrated the strength of friendship, and thanks to social media, we are able to continue celebrating with our friends no matter where they are in the world. Today is also National Sisters Day. So the sisters, you are not left out, you are friends too. So coinciding this year, of course, with National Friendship Day. We are all therefore aware that nothing can quite compare to the bond that sisters usually have. So this is a day to treasure the closeness, rather, not the loneliness, the closeness that sisters, not necessarily blood sisters, grow up with. That is, sharing secrets, sharing dreams, and sharing all the fun times they've ever had. National Sisters Day is a chance for you to spend time, some quality time, that is, being able to share as sisters, being able to have each other's back, and being able to tell each other, oh sister, we are one, even if from different wombs. On this August 7th, we are wishing the people of the West African country of Ivory Coast or Côte d'Ivoire happy Independence Day. Bon fête de l'indépendance. You got your independence, if you can quote it like that, from France, from the French, this day in 1960. So it's been a long time. And so after the last tough years, we invite brothers and sisters. In fact, we invite humanity as a whole to appreciate the connections we have set up in life, the connections we use this August 7th to reach out to past friends and to rekindle those bonds of friendship that should help us build a more perfect society. Can we do that? Yes, if we pat each other in the back and accept each other as brother or sister or brother and sister. And how else can we do that than to raise awareness about the need for meaningful education? To do that, we are emphasizing in our discussion today, sex education. Sex what? Well, do not panic or freak out. We will be decent. We will be nice. And we will not say anything we wouldn't say in front of our children or in front of our parents. Sex education is our topic today, and it has nothing to do with what it says or leads some people to think. Sex education is just another social issue that has become so real and so pervasive. So what is sex education? We hesitate to give a definition because different people have different thinkings and different takes about it. And why should the word or the phrase sex education cause a stir in a room full of adults or among fifth graders, or let alone young adolescents in middle or high school? Is such a reaction that is freaking out reason enough to push the topic sex education under the rug? Join us this Sunday, therefore, as we open the discussion. You can contribute live, put your thoughts in our WhatsApp chat room or in our discussion chat room, or simply just listen in, join us and listen in. With that said, rather, let us turn to the chair of Africaonline Media Corporation, Reverend Pam, and she will lead all of us through to the beginning of this discussion. The topic again, sex education. You can go to Zoom 514-199-854. That is how to get to us on Zoom. We are also live and we will be on Facebook and YouTube eventually. Reverend Pan, I might have not said enough, but you have the microphone.
You said enough. Thank you so much, Niasong. We really appreciate you. It's not easy to do this every Sunday for 6.5 years. Some of us have to press our way. I have not been able to show my face for some time now because this day of what is on my plate, and sometimes I'm in a place where I can't show my turn on my video. So thank you so much. Yeah, August is a word that I use a lot to as an adjective. And you'll be surprised how many people don't know what it means. They think it's the month, but it's not. Like you talk about an August occasion, like the one we have coming up in October, and some people may think the event is in August. But I had no idea where the month originated from until your editorial today. So thank you so much to educating us every week, enlightening us, and letting us know all these things. I want to, on behalf of Africaonline Media Corporation, I want to wish all friends of Africaonline a happy Friendship Day. You already acknowledge our sisters and brothers on this show. And one friend that is missing is Ambassador Lisa. She's not able to make it today, but she's a friend of the show. She's a friend of ours, and we miss her. Sister Ruth, I've been trying to read your friendly background. It says, speak to your what? Speak to your mountain. There you go. Matthew 11, 12 to 13. Yeah, okay. Yeah, 23. Yeah, Matthew 11:23, I think says, if you speak to this mountain, be thou removed and be thou cast into the sea, thou shall be removed without doubting. So thank you so much. The mountain has got to go. It's got to listen. And mountain is not a physical mountain, it's any obstacle in your life. So we are very grateful to you, Nia Song, Brother Rona. Thank you for your faithfulness, Sister Deborah. Thank you for your faithfulness, Sister Ruth. Thank you so much. And we are going to work on that show for your family. So Ambassador Lisa, get with Ambassador Lisa and let us know which month. We are talking about sex education or sexual education today. And this is something that is still not, prominent on the continent. A lot of parents on the continent still don't, either they are shy or what, or ignorant. I don't get it. They don't discuss sex with their children. A lot of the children learn about sex from their peers or now from social media or the internet. And that's a dangerous place to learn about sex from. So we want to encourage the parents, start teaching your children, start being, you are the first instructor, sex education instructor for your children, not the church, not the school, you. You brought them into this way, you need to teach them things that will empower them to be able to fend off, predators, and even diseases. So I will hand back over to you, Nia Song, and then you can, Ambassador Lisa is not here, so I will assist you in co-anchoring, but you're the main anchor, so I'm going to hand back over to you.
Thank you so much. Sex education, as I said in the editorial, it's a word some people freak out when they hear talk, especially the three-letter word sex. They think that we're going to be talking about body parts and so on. That is not so. Sex education has to do with telling people about what they should do with their bodies and what not to do with their bodies, how their bodies function, and how their body parts are supposed to be used and how they function. So I believe that it is for all of us on the screen and those listening and wanting to join in to come in and to say what they think about sex education. So I will start off with Sister Deborah. I will ask her if what she knows about sex education. Is it taboo? Should it be taboo? Or how should we treat it?
I don't think it should be taboo. I think it's something that should be taught initially at home so that the children will understand what they're getting themselves into prior to even knowing that it's there. I mean, it's a subject that in my day and time wasn't talked about. It was a taboo. But growing up in that environment, I endeavored to change that with my own children by telling them things that my parents would never tell me and would shoo away from. So I believe it's something that should be taught starting at home, and then whatever they get in school should be discussed with their parents at home. So they get both sides and get a well-rounded education about it.
Indeed. So we turn now to Sister Ruth. Welcome back as always, and you're welcome to the discussion today, sex education. What is your take on sex education? Is it something people should freak out about when they hear just the word sex without hearing what comes after?
I think it should not be a word that they freak out over. Sex education is very, it is truly important. Our kids are learning skewed views of sex and sexuality and what that means. And we need people that will steer them in the right direction when it comes to sex education, because some of the things that I see is like anything goes. And they need to understand the honoring of their bodies, the honoring of God, honoring of themselves in the midst of this education and what it means to, as I tell my niece all the time, she's 13, you are a queen. Be treated as a queen.
Exactly.
And do not allow anyone to disrespect you, and never lower your standards.
Awesome.
So we need to get that into their psyche, into their systems, because for some people, it's no big deal. Having sex is no big deal whatsoever. They don't understand the consequences of that intimate interaction with someone else.
Okay, Brother Ronald, you are the other male in the house on this Sunday. For you, what does sex education translate into?
Well, I'm a product of the Philadelphia public school system, and we first learned about sex in the 6th grade when they were teaching the girls about the menstruation period. And they had a class for them and taught them about that. And then when I got into junior high school, we were taught about sex in our bodies in health class, the reproductive system and things of that sort. But I believe it should be taught early because most students, my peers, became aware about sexuality and sex when they were around 11 and 12 years old. And they used to have play girlfriend and play boyfriends and things of that sort. So it is very important that children are taught about sex at home and also in the schools. From what I hear now, I don't know if I'm correct about it. I think that religious people are trying to get sex education taken out of school, but it needs to be taught both at home and in school.
Absolutely necessary. Sex education is not just something for the schools. It's not just something for students and pupils. It is something for the entire community, from parents in the homes to teachers in the schools and other people in the society who may not necessarily have homes or who may not necessarily have children to talk to. But if people live exemplary lives, they will be teaching a topic or two to other people. So sex education should not just be about equipping young people with the knowledge, the skills, the attitudes, and the values they need to determine their sexuality or whatever, but also telling them about what their bodies were created for, are meant for, and how to use those bodies in the appropriate way at the appropriate time. Because given the fact that we are created, we are born, and we grow up, we should not hurry anything. We should wait for everything to fall in place so that when we grow up, we will go the right way, as the Bible tells us in some of the scriptures, which I'm not going to quote. But all the same, sex education should just be about telling young people and old people, everyone else in the society, how to use or not use their bodies. I believe I've said my piece on that part. Reverend Pam may not be visible, but she may have an opinion on sexual education.
Yes, I am. And my sisters have echoed it, it needs to start from home. Again, it is, there are even children, there are even girls that have breasts and they just walk around in the compound back home, not knowing that those breasts are sending the wrong signals to the young men and the older men. So these things are so important. And just to piggyback to what Sister Ruth said, 1 Corinthians 6:19 says, don't you know that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost? Being a temple, you need to respect it. It's sacred. It is sacred. And I'm glad you are telling your niece that as she's a queen, they need to know their worth. This moral self-esteem, we have to build our children's self-esteem. Let them not compromise. Let them not feel like, oh, they can be toyed with. Because if you don't instill that at home, it's going to be difficult for somebody else to instill that to them. Educating your children on sexual matters will prevent a lot of problems. We've always said this saying that prevention is better than cure. I don't know who came up with that, but it's a pretty good a slogan to have. Prevention is better than cure. Okay, now we have a lot of, especially with these abortion laws being passed now in this country, children may find themselves trying to commit abortion by themselves or using unorthodox methods or unhealthy methods, dangerous methods to do that, which was one of the reasons why they even passed the law in the first place. I'm not supporting abortion. I'm just saying when we educate our children, it will keep them away from having sexually transmitted diseases, getting pregnant. And now with the monkeypox, that can also be gotten through that. A lot of people, we're focusing on AIDS, and then now COVID, and then monkeypox, but they forget that there are still sexually transmitted diseases like syphilis and gonorrhea that are still existing, and you never know who is a carrier. It's not on their face. And even if you were on the face, there's something called makeup that will cover it. So I'm just saying, there's so much to benefit from sexual education, and there's really no harm. I know some parents may think discussing sex with your children may predispose them to sexual curiosity. That's not true. Even if it does, you have armed them with the right information. And if they look at something, another thing to stress to the children is that come to me with any questions. Let your children know they can come to you. And that sex education needs to start as young as possible, as soon as possible. To me, if a child can talk, you can start asking them which part of their bodies. I have a relative, and I will not go further than what I'm about to say because I have to protect them. When she was 2, I was pointing to her bodies. I would say, which part is this? So I pointed to the breast. I said, that is called Bobby, because that's how we call it in the local language back home. Do you know, till this day, she's an adult, she still refers to breast as bobbies. She call it bobbies, not Bobby, but that's how she refers to it. Because it tells me that as young as she was back then, what I told her about them, she still remembers the name. So I use that example to say, whatever you implant in these children when they are young, if you can also take the anatomy, a picture of an anatomy, and tell a child, nobody should touch you here, nobody should touch you here. They need to know that nobody should touch. I saw something yesterday on my phone. It was a comedy, and something about a virgin. So, that a virgin is I'm paraphrasing because I mean, it's one of these things that come on your WhatsApp. So this lady was saying that a virgin is somebody who has never been touched. So this was a skit anyway. This lady like, oh, thank God I'm not a virgin. I've been touched so many times. And the mother and the grandmother almost have a heart attack. They say, who touched you? And when they say, oh, Uncle so just touched me yesterday. So the grandmother came out with a knife. With a knife, the mother took another weapon. They were going to that uncle's house, and they were trying to attack him. He's like, what are you talking about? I didn't touch the child. The child said, yes, you touch me. You touch me every day. I mean, they just went. It was so hilarious, but this was just yesterday. So the guy said, where did I touch you? He said, did you touch me on my head yesterday? So the grandmother and the mother, they just, oh my God. They said, that's what you mean? Yeah, he's touching me on my head all the time, telling me that I'm stubborn. So they had to apologize to the uncle. So the mother said, let me take you in and teach you about this kind of touching. This is what we are saying, because if she knew about sexual, that guy could have been hurt. Just by being accused by a child who did not know what being touched meant. So he touches me every day. So anyway, I just thought I should throw that in. So Sister Ruth and Sister Deborah cracking up. Let's hear from you. Unmute yourself.
Yes, please. Go ahead. Either Sister Ruth or Sister Deborah, any of you can go ahead. Let me quickly look for something I have.
I knew where you were headed with that when you started. Because they definitely didn't understand. Oh, they touched me every day, because they're not going to. If someone is being touched like that, they're not just going to come right out with it. They're going to hold it in because they're ashamed and afraid to talk about it. So, yeah, I don't know. It's crazy, this world nowadays, and nowadays sex education in school can be really kind of horrendous too, because now they're giving you the opportunity. You can be the boy or girl or whatever it is you want to be. And that's not something that I believe we want to teach our children.
Yeah, maybe that one is gender education or sex. I don't know. Where does it fall? Where does it fit in? You are right. It falls under the sex education. Sexual orientation. That's another rendition.
Topic.
You know,
That's another rendition of the word sex education, which is even leading to disputes in many school districts in this country, because they go to talk about sex education by instead telling about gender education, which is completely different than sex education. Sex education is telling about the physical build of the person, the emotional build of the person, and the social build of the person. So you are physically growing, you are becoming a human being in the society, and you should not let people touch you in those parts that are sensitive. It goes to the social part. It's not telling whether you were created a man or a woman. No, it is talking about you are a boy. This is where you should not be. You should not let people touch anyhow. You are a girl. These are the parts that should not be touched anyhow. I was looking for a book that I use with kindergarteners, but I will find it during the break. And I will be able to show you what we try to inculcate in young kids, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, even up to first grade. We tell them these are sacred parts that should not be touched anyhow, that should not be used anyhow. Because if they do, you will feel differently and you will want to do things differently. So we try to keep it as simple as possible. But some parents protest at sex education because they think that it is gender education. That is different, completely different, especially in this country. Brother Ronald?
Yes, I agree. There's a distinct difference between gender education and sex education. Gender education has something to do with whether or not a person is a male or a female. They may have been born a male, but gender-wise, the way they act or the way they feel, they may feel as if they are a female. And it's opposite with the female feeling as if she is a man. But it doesn't have anything to do about sex until you're of age. Like, I know it's wrong, but a lot of people engage in sex when they are teenagers. However, if they are taught about sex education, they probably will wait and take care of their bodies in a respectful manner and wait until they are married. And to know that sex is usually for reproduction and producing children and adding wealth to your family if you live in other countries by having a lot of children do work and labor for you. But sex education, I believe, is important for schools and parents to teach their children about sex, at least at the age of 11 or 12, because that's when the curiosity starts.
Before Sister Ruth goes, you know, but I want to pose this question, and after Sister Ruth weighs in on the sex education thing that I was talking about, anybody can go. But they're talking about sexual identity. So if we're saying that all that is under gender education, not sex education, where does gender identity, I mean, sexual identity identification fit in? Because there are even forms or sexual orientation rather that are appearing now, and these definitions will keep changing as human beings, as society start making some things, abnormal things, seem normal. I'm not against anybody, but I know God created Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. So that's what I'm sticking with. God doesn't make mistakes, you know. So, but as society keeps accommodating things that are not normal, definitions are going to keep changing. For example, the word gay used to just mean happiness, right? You know, now people don't even use it. I remember when I came to this country, talk about culture shock. Our brother Shea Brown has a series now on Netflix called Culture Shock. You know, I was giving a party in Milwaukee, and the next day we went to one of my brother's friend's home, and he was African, married to an African-American woman, and she was not able to make it to the party, but the husband did. So I was just telling her, she was apologizing to me that she couldn't make it to the party. We're talking about 1986. And I said, oh, oh, you really missed because everybody there was gay, you know, and she flipped. I had no idea why she flipped. I honestly did not. We talk about 1986, you know, and then somebody had to intervene and say, look, gay is happiness, not that everybody at the party was a homosexual. You know, but can you imagine if she did not flip while we're there, she may have attacked her husband, may think her husband hangs around or is bisexual or something like that. So that's what I'm saying. You know, the language, vocabularies, they start changing as society is changing. Even things now on the continent, because we're a global village now, words that we used to use that meant something else now means something else. So Sister Ruth, let's hear from you. I've made you laugh a couple of times, so let's hear from you.
Thank you. That story about the touch. And that's why I used to own a daycare, and I learned from children, you really have to be careful the words you use, especially when you're dealing with multicultural children. Because I just didn't have African American. I had Caucasian, had some Puerto Rican children. That's the type of environment that I like. I think we learn better when we're surrounded by different cultures. And some words were just like, so when I was teaching them sex education on that level, I used the proper terminology for each body part. And one of my little 3-year-olds, someone comes to pick her up and she says out loud, "Do you have a penis?"
Oh goodness.
So every male she saw, she started asking them that. I'm like, no, that's inappropriate. You can't ask people that question.
Oh my God.
We have to be, because I feel as though when you give little nicknames, it's not good. I don't think it's good. I think a child needs to know what each body part
Exactly.
is
Exactly.
called. But when it comes to those words, like Reverend Pam was saying, gay. I'm like, wait a minute. That means, no, it doesn't mean happy anymore.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Under the radar doesn't mean that you are that you're out of contact with people. That's what it meant to me. And I found out that it meant that you were living a different lifestyle. I'm like, oh, you don't want to say that anymore, Ruth. You don't want to say under the radar. I'm like, what's wrong with under the radar? It just means I'm not in communication.
Yes.
And there has to be a sensitivity to the cultures and the beliefs of the people. We always speak the truth in love, but even in speaking the truth in love, people are going to believe what they're going to believe. But when it comes to our children, we have to give them the truth, and then they have to work it out for themselves. That's why it goes beyond the sexual education. They also need to know that they're a royal priesthood. Whether they're a believer or not, they need to know that they are royalty and their bodies are temples, not amusement parks. And they should treat themselves accordingly. And when you say good touch, bad touch, as we grow, the translation is different. So there's just ways of saying, if someone touches you and it makes you feel uncomfortable, then you need to let someone know that what they did, you say to that adult, that made me uncomfortable. I didn't like that. Don't touch me like that again. And then you go tell your parent or your adult, whoever it is, you go tell someone that. Too much stuff is kept
under the rock.
Even as children, for some reason, we don't even want to talk about it. Even when we know as a child, 5 or 6 years old, when an adult touches us in what makes us uncomfortable, for some reason, there's an immediate shame and we don't want to talk about it. And we carry that for years. Ask me how I know.
But Sister Ruth, you know, it should not just be if they touch them and they are uncomfortable. What if the child is too young to even know what uncomfortable means. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think they need to know the no-go areas, whether it's an uncle or an aunt, because a lot of children are molested by people they know, relatives or neighbors.
Family relatives, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
or neighbors. So they need to know that these are the body parts that nobody can touch.
But what I'm saying is some children don't like to be touched or hugged. So,
Yeah.
and if they're younger, they don't understand the word uncomfortable, then use a word that that child will understand. If it makes you feel icky,
Yeah.
then say something, whether it's just a hug, because we know, because it's innate in us, when someone touches us, there's an icky
Yeah,
about.
there's a reaction.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a story. I don't know what year that was with this. The person was a clergy. I'm not gonna call it religion because I don't want it to look like I'm attacking that religion,
Right.
denomination. But he was using candy to lure children into a room and abuse them. So these children were not even feeling bad about what he was doing to them because they were focusing on the reward, the candy that they were gonna get.
Yes.
So sometimes they may not even feel they are. You cannot say it's consensual because these are kids,
Yes.
but they feel like, oh, what they are doing or what this guy is doing is good because he's rewarding them with candy.
I think the first time it happens, there's a reaction that this isn't right, whatever the level is, but there's a reaction when that first happens
Yes.
to you. It's like, this isn't right, but then you get inundated because they keep saying, well, here's the candy, you're going to get a reward at the end.
Exactly.
As I told one of my friends when we were talking about sex education and, you know, having sex outside of marriage, I said, I don't care what religion or what belief you have, when you have sex outside of marriage, something inside of you knows
It's wrong.
says it's wrong.
Yeah.
No matter what your belief is, your belief system is,
That's true.
the first time it's like, this is not right. But we keep going.
Yes, Sister Ruth, it is not right. And you use that story about that little kid asking people if they had a certain thing. And then, of course.
No, not certain thing. If they had
Yeah.
a penis, that's
Yeah,
just what
that's
she was
right.
talking about. We need to call it the name.
Call it the name. Okay,
Yeah, please. This is sex education. So let's educate the people.
Yeah, I was going to an area without knowing that it was something that would cause giggles and surprises in the room, because they were asking us to tell how we call CATs in our language, cats. So I said in the Pidgin language and generally in my community, we call it PUSSY. So everybody burst out surprised and laughing. And
That's the truth. No, we call it pussycat. That's what we call it.
I was like, what is going on here? They said, no, the word pussy is not used in certain environments. So don't use it again. So I later found out what it meant. So it is language, it is culture, it is how we put it to people so they understand what we're talking about.
I have a question for Sister Ruth. Sister Ruth, how did you find out this student of yours? I was asking men if they had a penis, and how did the men react?
Because she did it in front of me when the fathers came to pick up the kids.
Oh my God.
That's how I knew.
Yes.
And then I had to let her know that it was inappropriate to do that. And you know, when you're that young and people start laughing, oh, I got a giggle out of this, so I'm gonna keep doing it. It's like, no,
exactly.
The thing that is fun. The thing is fun.
It's fun, and I had to let her know it was inappropriate to ask anyone about.
We have to know how to use the language in the appropriate circumstances so that people understand that you don't mean that or that. You mean but this. So that's how we should go.
But what Niasan just brought something though, because back home when you have a cat, you just call them pussy, pussy, pussy. That's how you call them.
Yes.
But here, I don't know who started that thing. They are referring to a vagina, and there's no resemblance between a vagina and a cat, anatomically or any other. Otherwise, so I don't even know who started that nonsense.
We don't know.
I don't know either. That's been around for years.
Yeah, Lord.
And in case you are doing your research, please don't type that word into your computer because it will show you different things. It will not
Oh
give
my
you the
God.
definition, it will show you pictures. So avoid it.
Oh,
That said,
Lord.
sex education is very important, as
Sister
we
Ruth
all
is,
agree.
Sister Ruth is
It's,
cracking up.
it's yes, Sister Deborah too. So sex education should begin as early as possible. And as we said, it's good to call everything by its name, but tell the children what each is all about, what each part is all about. So that way they grow up understanding that if somebody touches you here or there, that is inappropriate and should not be accepted. And if somebody repeatedly touches that part of your body, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your uncle, don't let them continue. Or tell the person, no, please, I don't feel comfortable when you touch me here or there. It's very important.
So real quick, this is the thing. Some of these pedophiles, they will threaten the child that if you say something, I'm going to hurt your parents. So, or your siblings. So the child will not say anything. So we want to encourage all our parents, teach your children this. I mean, I'm sure there's enough videos, enough cases, enough information on the internet, things that, modus operandi of, or mode of operations of these pedophiles, or I'll call them demons, because a regular human being will not do that to a child or a minor. Let them know how they operate, so that when they come across those things, a light bulb will go off. These people, they act, and some of them, they will take their time. They will be the family, things like family friends. When you look at these cases, yesterday I was watching Deadline NBC. I spent several hours watching it, so many episodes. They're these pedophiles. They will act like, oh, they are good with these children, or this teenager offer to take you to your games, offer to take you, bring you presents, whatever. After they end that trust, then they violate you.
It's called grooming.
There you go. So we need to teach our children some of the tactics that these people use.
Yes, we do. They need,
and on the internet too, they need to know that a lot of these people now are luring young boys and young girls on the internet. There are parents who are at home and their teenagers are communicating with pedophiles on the internet, and they make arrangements to meet with them, outside the house, or sometimes in the house when the parents are at work. So these are the things we need to share with our children. We would like everybody to just take a moment and just, share some examples of, things that could have been prevented by sex education. It doesn't have to be your own personal experience, but just information that or stories you've come across, so that you never know who could be saved by sharing that story. So let's go with Sister Ruth, Sister Deborah, Brother Ronald, and Niason.
one of the things that I think will truly protect our children, teenagers especially, monitor their internet use. Sometimes people think, oh, they're 12, 13, 14. They know better. No, they don't know better. Monitor even if you have to take their computer away from them at night, because some kids are scrolling through at night while you're sleeping. Monitor what they're doing, because I know someone who was, they weren't lured outside of the house, but they were lured to do things like take pictures of themselves and send them to someone on the internet, because they were unaware, because they were young and not, they're thinking this is love. And if you love me, you'll send me a picture. So look at what your child is doing on the internet, take their cell phones from them. They're not paying the bill, you are. So if they are paying the bill, they're living in your house.
Very important.
Just make sure you monitor their internet use.
That's right. Sister Deborah?
I agree with what Ruth is saying. Also, what happens is they have to know the difference between somebody saying I love you and actually showing, because love is an action word. People will tell you they love you. They will talk all sweet nothings or whatever, and you fall for it because you want to believe it because you're innocent and you don't know that they're going to lie to you. So they have to be made aware of that as well. And it's crazy. Like when my children were younger, I blocked a whole lot of TV stations. They tell me, "Mom, you messed up our childhood." Oh well, you're a better adult for it. And so we have to step in and do that now, especially now with all the stuff that's on the internet and the things that they have access to through their phones.
Brother Ronald.
Yes, I agree with Sister Deborah that love is an action word, and that many people apply different definitions to what love is, because love is a concept in and of itself. And some people may believe that love is having money and spending the money on me. And then some people may believe that love is sex, but it's actually just lust. So you gotta be careful about how you use that word love, because it is an action word.
Yeah, that being said, yes, we should also monitor our young kids as they're growing up, who their friends are and what they hold during their conversations. When they get together, what are they talking about? If at all they're talking about their bodies, how are they talking about their bodies? They should be aware that there are certain conversations you don't hold because they will lead to other things and lead to other things. And the final result may be people trying to see what it is all about or try to do what those parts are supposed to do or not do. So it would be good to monitor the kids to be sure that their conversations are in line with social norms. I see we have a Sister Carla Joy, a
Yeah, Coach
transformational
Carla.
coach.
Yeah,
who
she's
is
been here before.
Yeah,
a
so
few times.
if you've been here, and I know you've been here, and we're talking about sexual education, okay, she has unmuted herself. So please tell us something about sexual education. How is it? How do you take it? What do you say? Have to say about it? And let us hear your point of view on sexual education. How should our young people, how should all of us in the community treat the topic sexual education when it comes up?
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here, and I am sorry that I'm late.
That's okay.
One of the issues that I'm more sensitized to is the role of nutrition in the development of our young people. And because a lot of them are becoming physically developed before they're becoming emotionally developed, we have a situation where their bodies are leading their minds.
Wow.
And because of their exposure very early to things that are not the norm, but what the society is pressing in on them, their bodies and their minds are now being exposed to situations and circumstances that for which they're not emotionally prepared.
Yeah.
And so as leaders in the community, we will have to continue to work. I mean, these are the problems, but we are the problem solvers. And so one of the things that we can change their nutrition so that their bodies grow up in line with the mental development that God has orchestrated in our bodies, number one. But also, we need to provide an environment where they are protected from ideas and behaviors for which they are not emotionally prepared to make good decisions. So, for example, none of us would give the car keys and access to the car to a 10-year-old.
Exactly.
And it's not because we don't love and trust our 10-year-olds, but physically, that 10-year-old may not be able to reach the pedals and look up and see the rearview mirror because the car is designed for someone who is physically bigger, and someone who is emotionally able to handle all of these things. Because of our kids being able to handle tablets and computers and so on, they can multitask. But that does not mean that they are physically and emotionally prepared to drive a car.
Exactly.
Not at all.
And
Yeah.
so what we have is this amazing body that is designed to function in a particular way and in a particular environment. And it is up to us, the leaders of the community, to come up with solutions that will allow them to become technologically advanced, because we can't go back to the dark ages. But we do have to protect them from ideas and ideals and images that are not in keeping with their best ability to make informed decisions. And so I don't want to take up all the time, but I hope I make
Please
that
do.
point.
No, you can, what you are saying, the angle that you are bringing to this is so profound and
Yes.
so needed. So please, we are here to educate. So don't feel like you are taking all this show is unscripted. So you can, I mean, if you need to take a sip of water, fine, we'll come back to you. But please don't summarize what you have to say.
Just say
because it would save somebody's life. You may not be able to track how many people were transformed or protected by your words. What you're saying is so true. That you see a 6-year-old with breast or 7-year-old breast, it's 7 or 8 years old having menstrual periods. In our time, it was 13, 14, and in our parents, it was even longer because of all the things that they are bombarded with. At this young age, they are growing in a different era. This information technology era is dangerous. So a parenting is become, a more crucial, good parenting. But then there are parents who are also distracted with technology, social media. There are parents who are on the WhatsApp or Facebook, and the tablet is raising the children. I would also like to pose a question to the panel. What about the role of pornography in sex education? I need everybody to weigh in, because our children are bombarded with pornography in those days. Oh my God, people had to buy Playboy magazine or get it through a paper, a magazine. But now it's on their tablet, it's on their phones. So how do we educate? Because pornography, it's a subject of sex education. Because when these kids start watching all these things, they want to try them. So I want us to take, anybody can go first, but I would like everybody to weigh in on that. Go ahead, Sister Carla. Coach Carla.
Thank you so much. An experiment, an experience occurred when an isolated village was exposed to electricity and then to television. Within 6 months, there was a murder and there was infidelity in relationships, married relationships. Those are things that they had never experienced before. So the placing of graphic images and exposing people to graphic images is really harmful. I mean, I understand that there are people who will disagree with me, and I respectfully accept that they disagree. But once you've placed an image in someone's mind, and once you've enacted with real human beings, enacted certain types of activity, this is no longer outside the norm of the person who's been exposed. And so as difficult as this may seem, and as unrealistic as some people may find it, it is up to us to provide a protection from exposure to these images. And if a child has been exposed to these images, then it is now our responsibility to carefully educate them to the right place and time and the appropriate manifestations of these behaviors. I understand. It's like trying to lock the barn after the horse has already fled.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
we must go out and get that horse.
Good.
We must bring our children back.
Yes.
And provide for them some guidelines so that they can hopefully teach their children and the next generation, so that we can curb the flow. We can't just throw up in hands and say, oh, it's too late. We cannot do that. We are duty bound to work to help educate that even though you have seen these images, this type of behavior is either inappropriate or it is appropriate in a particular setting, so that we give them the guidelines. And at least we provide that and we plant a seed of sanity in a world that has gone mad.
You know, that is so, and I'm glad we are streaming this on Facebook. People need to hear this. You know, before you came, I talked about a story about a child who did not understand the meaning of touching, you know, and they claimed somebody, uncle was touching him, touch her every day. In that same skit, the mother, after she realized that the daughter did not know what touching meant, she said, let me go and educate you, so that you don't end up like me, whose mother did not educate me, and the grandmother was there. So her own mother never had sex education with her, and she ended up getting pregnant, and that's how she had this child. So, and she did not educate this child on sex education also until this episode where she thought touching men, this uncle was touching her on her head, telling her how stubborn she was. And she gave the impression that the uncle touches her every day. So they thought she's been molested. So what you're saying is so profound. Let's hear from we still have 4 minutes before the top of the hour. Sister Deborah, you want to go next?
I agree with what Carla was saying, and it makes a lot of sense that we don't leave the horse out there and go back and get the horse. Jesus went out to get the one.
Yeah.
And we need to go get the one. And we need to spread the word. We need to get a format or forum or somewhere where we can sit down and talk to the children and let them know what's going on and what it is and what it isn't. Because a lot of parents nowadays don't have the time. They're too full of themselves or whatever else, and they don't have the time to sit down and talk to these children, or they don't know how to talk to them themselves anyway. Like, I mean, I had that type of an issue within my family, and so a whole lot of stuff went on, but to God be the glory, we're all okay.
Amen.
And I'm grateful that my daughter learned from my mistakes and was able to talk to her children better than I spoke with them. And this is something that has to be done.
You know, Sister Deborah, thank you so much. I noticed you were getting emotional there, but I want to say this. Parents cannot say they don't have the time. You have the time to make the child, you better make the time to educate that child.
Yes.
I agree, but you have those who don't have that mindset.
Exactly.
They're still children themselves, and so they're thinking it's still all about me. They're not thinking about, well, I need to take care of this child. I need to inform this child. I need to teach this child. They're still looking for teaching themselves.
Exactly. And Sister Ruth and Brother Rona, you go after the top of the hour, but excuse me. There are even parents. I remember in 2020 there was a video circulated on social media where this mother was always working, and because of the lockdown, his son started sleeping with his sisters and impregnated both of them. So yes, during the lockdown, so the son could not go out and do what he used to do because of the lockdown. And my point is, sex, that's another thing to teach your children about incest. So we will have Brother Ronald and Sister Ruth and Nia Song will weigh in on that pornography part of the sex education. But I also want everybody after it to take a minute and weigh in on this incest part, because I don't know if I'm sure at some point they figure out that it was wrong, but then they continued. And there was another situation where a boy and a sister, they supposedly were so much in love and were having children. And when they stopped them, the parents intervene. One of them threatened to commit suicide. That if they don't let them stick together. We're talking about brother and sister from the same mother, same father. So it's the top of the hour. I want, after Sister Ruth, Brother Ronald and Nia Song weigh in on the pornography part of the sex education. Coach Carla, I would like for you to come in and weigh in on incest as part of the sex education, and Sister Deborah, and the others can weigh in too. So we are at the top of the hour. So I'm gonna go ahead and play the anthem. Ambassador Lisa is not here, but this is our favorite part of the show. So here we go.
Oh, Africa. Oh no. Africans, Africans for Africa. 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 Africans have many bright ideas. If only you let us share. If you really want to know my history, please come, sit down, listen to my story. God gave us a wisdom. He guides our footsteps, makes us shine and transform. Hey, as one people, with so many cultures, yet indeed we are one. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Let us all unite behind Africaonline Media Corporation. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. It's time to come together, promote awareness, progress, and solution. Hey. Africans, Africans for Africa. Africans, Africans for Africa. Africans, Africans for Africa. All Africans can rally for a common cause, to believe without judgment in what our brother does, to identify and resolve our challenges, to allow each other's ideas without regard to standards. As one people with so many cultures, yes indeed we are one. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Let us solve all the problems plaguing our continent. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Let us empower Africans in and out of Africa. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Africaonline Media Corporation, that's a good way to start. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. They have all the resources we need to benefit our society. Oh. Education for everyone. If we believe prosperity for Africans, if we believe medical facilitation for Africans, if we believe stand up, Africa, yes, for Africa. Africaonline Media Corporation, That's a good way to start. Stand up, Africans. Let's save Africa. Africa is a cradle of civilization. The motherland. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. We were enslaved not because we were weak, but because of our hospitality. Stand up, Africans. Let's save Africa. Jump on the Africaonline miracle jet. Don't be left behind. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Together we shall succeed. Together we will win. Stand up, Africans. Let's save Africa. We are writing our own story. The truth, and we shall tell it to the world. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. No more lies. Africans own Africa.
No more lies. Africans own Africa. That's our anthem. We own full rights to it. And I'm going to share another screen. But before I do that, well, yes, I'm going to share another screen, making a couple of announcements. Next week, we're going to be discussing as a sequel to this show, sexually transmitted grades. I don't know what they call it here. Coach Carla, hopefully you'll be back next week. Sister Deborah and Sister Ruth, you know, we'll definitely need you guys back, and Brother Ronald, but we'll be talking about sexually transmitted grades. You know, we have a lot of students that get grades because of sexual acts, not because of their performance or merit. And coming up, since Ambassador Lisa is not here, Africa's Brain Bank is having its annual summit and charity ball, the third one, in Atlanta, Georgia. We have about 12 speakers. So this flyer is going to be updated with their headshots, but these are the ones that, you know, well, the flyer is going to be updated by next week, so it will look different. But as you can see on the top left hand, that's Nollywood's icon, RMD. He's actually an attorney, but this is the most famous actor in Africa. People consider him Africa's gift to the world. He is flying in from Lagos for this event. You know, on the top right-hand corner, we have Brother Mickey Stevenson. This is Motown's first A&R man. That's the guy that gave the world Stevie Wonder. But he got his right-hand man. These were the people that were behind the success of the Diana Rossi, Smokey Robinson, Lionel Richie, Gladys Knight. He was just inducted in June in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. That was supposed to happen in 2020, but because of the pandemic, it happened this June. So not only is Brother Mickey going to be there, he's composed a song for a theme song for this event. He's 85 years old, but he has the fire of a 40-year-old. So we are encouraged, like he said, Brother Mickey said, every Black person needs to be at this event. Every company that Black people spend money on, they need to support this event. So we have sponsorship package there. You go to our website, you will see what comes with those packages. So on Saturday morning, we're having an academic symposium. And then and we start everything on time. We don't believe in lateness. We start on time. There's a red carpet, an elaborate red carpet. Then there's a summit, dinner, and charity ball. There'll be awards. There'll be a fundraiser. On Sunday morning, we're gonna have a billionaire breakfast brunch to thank our sponsors and our speakers. And our MC is gonna be comedian Shay Brown. You can catch him on Netflix. He is hilarious. His comedy is clean. And we have Dr. Angelique Tucker Blackman here, a STEM expert. She'll be one of the speakers. We do have a few females and a few males, you know, on the panel. So you will see the updated list. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so all your donations are tax deductible. Even if you're not able to come, you can buy a ticket. In the morning, we're going to be, we are expecting about 200 students from HBCUs in the Atlanta area. That number may go up, but those students are not paying, so we're looking for sponsors to sponsor them. The breakfast alone is $38. Dinner is about $70, and this $125 does not cover the cost of the event. So that's why we need sponsors. We need businesses to to buy ads for the event. It's going to be an epic event. Africa's Brain Power will be on display. So we're encouraging everybody to be a part of it. And Ambassador Lisa is not here, but we are still doing the Operation Borehole fundraiser. The ribbon cutting should happen next week. It was supposed to happen yesterday, but there was a casualty. Our country rep lost an uncle on the way to the funeral. They had an accident and they lost another human being, and 3 of them are in the hospital. So that will happen next week. And all the names of the donors are on the plaque. We had only promised the name of the top donor, but just to encourage everybody and just to have the patients in that clinic and the 30,000 people in the community actually know the names of the people that gave. So everybody who gave from 5,000 down to 25, their names are on there. And there's a signpost. Let me see, give me a minute real quick. Let me see if I can pull that signpost and show it. If you guys can bear with me, I'm gonna pull the signpost and show you guys how we are appreciating our donors. And we are hoping that when we do the next fundraiser, you know, it will encourage other people to give and support this. Okay, let me show you guys this. Let me share this screen so you guys see what the signpost. It actually looks better than this one. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the name of the clinic, the Cabot Ferry Community Health Post. That's what that stands for. It said this solar-powered borehole was constructed by Africaonline Media Corporation in partnership with Africa's Brain Bank and the Ministry of Health and Sanitation through the Carina District. This is the symbol of the Ministry of this Sierra Leone. This Africaonline, this Africa's Brain Bank. I would like to take a moment to appreciate our sister organization, Africa's Brain Bank, because Africaonline does not have footprints on the continent and volunteers, but Africa's Brain Bank does. So Africa's Brain Bank implemented this project on behalf of Africaonline at no cost to Africaonline. I need to make that clear. Where this picture is actually needs to be rotated, but these are the names of the people that gave. So this plaque is such a beautiful plaque, will be at the clinic so that the people who are getting the water and the electricity, they know. As you know, we set out to just provide a borehole, but the Lord used the engineer to wire the maternity with the solar power from the solar panel. So we ended up providing both clean water and electricity. Can you imagine the average delivery a night was 10 deliveries, 1 bed, no access to water? Can you imagine how many babies have died? And then darkness. So they were using lanterns for deliveries and sometimes candlelight. So now they have electricity. Thanks to Africaonline and our donors. So once that the next solar power borehole will be sunk in Kenya, 100% of the money that was raised, which is about 11,100, to our accountant is not here, went into this project. You know, and the Africaonline team on the ground is not being paid, so they volunteered their time. So we are encouraging people to give because 100% of your money is going for the project. You don't need to wait till the next fundraiser. Normally we would have had a second fundraiser a Labor Day weekend, but because we don't yet have the pictures from the ribbon cutting, we are going to move that date, but it's going to happen this year. Kenya is ready and they are excited. Again, this borehole is taking care of 6,000 households, which averages about at least 30,000 people, in addition to the clinic. So there is an extended external tap. And also yesterday, even though the ribbon cutting did not take place, the training took place. We're not just coming to dig a borehole and leave it there. Our engineers are actually training the people, a few leaders in the community on how to manage the borehole and keep it safe. So it's a sustainable development and not something that will be wasted. They are not allowed to waste water. So because even though it's coming from the ground, it still cannot be wasted. We want it to be a sustainable project. So, Niason, over to you.
Thank you. Je serai très brève. Nous avons notre projet de l'eau potable dans le pays, les divers pays africains, 55 pays. Nous voulons construire des points d'eau potables dans le centre de santé développé. C'est déjà fait au Sierra Leone. On devait couper le ruban la semaine dernière, mais il y a eu un problème et ça sera la semaine prochaine. Donnez ce que vous pouvez pour qu'on continue à creuser des points d'eau potables dans les divers pays africains. Le prochain, on projette déjà pour le Kenya. Et puis le 8 et le 9 octobre prochain, c'est Africa's Brain Bank qui aura son gala qu'on organise presque chaque année. Cette année, ça sera à Atlanta, à l'hôtel Marriott de l'aéroport. Et si vous voulez bien acheter votre billet, soyez là pour qu'on puisse continuer à aider l'Afrique pour développer ce qu'on veut que l'Afrique devienne demain. Merci beaucoup, and let's keep going because we need to catch up on the sexual education thing, the program that we have for today. So, as before we went on breaks, Reverend Pam was mentioning what we think about sexual education and pornography. Well, those are two things that should not that should not inspire us. They should instead tell us that we need to discourage them as much as possible, because when you do pornography, you are showing people the wrong things, and many young people, when they see them, they think they are good things and they should emulate those things and do them because practice makes what makes some sense, which of course is not the right thing to do, because when you see something, it doesn't mean that you must or you have to do it. And talking to young people, young girls and young boys, the fact that your body has developed at a certain rate, at a certain speed, does not mean that you put that body into practice to see what it can give you. No. When you start a car, it doesn't mean you know how to drive. You only know how to turn on the engine, but you don't know how to drive it. So please do not venture into things that are premature, that are inappropriate for you. And so please do that, and you be safe, you stay safe, and forget about trying to do things that are not yet in your time. As I was saying before, this is the book I use for kindergarteners to tell them, my body, this is my body, it is my body, do not touch me just anyhow. Talking about what Reverend Pam was making allusion to when the child was telling the mother that my uncle was touching me, this and that. Just tell, my body is my body, it belongs to me, and I don't want to be touched just anyhow. Over to you now.
I think we need Coach Carla and Badarona to weigh in. And for the interest of time, you can combine the pornography and the incest as part of the sexual education.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. It's a very sad situation. I mean, the sibling bond is a very special and powerful bond. And to have it infiltrated and contaminated with sexual involvement is very sad. What do we do in that type of situation? There has to be a lot of mental and emotional support for young people who have been, because of circumstances beyond their control or because of pressures that they could not, to which they did not have an appropriate response, have found themselves emotionally and physically involved in a way with a sibling. So they need a lot of mental and emotional support as they navigate the restoration of a relationship that has been contaminated with something that should never happen. Those of us who are people of faith, we must pray and be prayerful as we provide that support. And I am sure that there are some prayer-based persons who can help persons who have found themselves in that situation. It is hard, and it should never have happened, but now that it has happened, we must try to reclaim the hearts and minds of those young people whose lives have forever been transformed. Once again, we cannot just throw up our hands and say, the horse is out of the barn and therefore, what can we do? We have to go and look for the one, as Minister Deborah mentioned. Jesus would recommend that we go and look for the one and see how we can bring them back to the fold. There are many stories of people who've had their lives changed, who even went and had physical transformations done to their body, and they realized that it was a mistake. And God has helped them, and people from the faith community have helped them. People from the mental health community have helped them. And so we must commit to redeem those who have been harmed, those that have been exposed to pornography, those that have been exposed to activities that were not age appropriate because they did not have the maturity to make informed decisions. When people are beyond 21 and 25, where their brains and their emotions have been matured, those are decisions that they can make. But at 12 and 15, and even sometimes at 18, when we're making decisions that are foisted upon us by exposure to material or to people or activities, then we need to reclaim those young minds and young hearts. And it can be done. We have to believe that.
Yeah.
We have to believe that it can be done. And each one of us must find, okay, what can I do? And with whom can I partner so that together we can make a difference for this generation and, God willing, for the next.
Awesome.
Thank
Brother
you so
Ronald.
very much. Very important. Very good talk. Yes, Sister Deborah.
No, I think Brother Ronald was speaking.
Oh, okay, Brother Deborah.
And after Brother Ronald, we'll come to Sister Ruth and Deborah to talk about the incest part of the sex education, because it is crucial that we educate our children about this. It's not about not talking about it. It's about educating them about it. They need to know what pornography is. They need to know what incest is so that they don't become victims. Brother Ronald.
Yes. Hard pornography, I believe, is a deviant form of entertainment that caters to lustful attitude. There's nothing in it that will give you proper sexual education. It's just there for mere entertainment and exhibition. As far as incest is concerned, it's been practiced for a long time, for thousands of years. And even in Appalachia, cousins are having sex with cousins and developing retarded children and handicapped children because they are so closely related blood-wise. But incest is wrong. Parents should teach their children that it's not proper for a brother to have sex with a sister or even cousins. It's just inappropriate and it causes a lot of deformity and mental illness. So that's my take on incest.
Okay, thank you. Sister Ruth, incest.
Incest is it's a very sad situation, and it comes back again to education. We can't do better until we know better.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, just depending on the situation, we innately trust our children to be doing the right things. But if we're not monitoring what they're doing, what they're watching, what they're seeing, pornography is everywhere. I mean, it's on primetime TV. The things that you see on TV during regular television were not even heard of. And now our kids are seeing it. They get curious about stuff. And then sometimes, I think someone said it, oh, we're just playing a game. And then the game turns into another game. And then we're taking it to another level. And then the next thing you know, it's time for restoration, because we know it's a time of restoration, not a time of shame.
Mm-hmm.
We should never, in my opinion, make our children feel ashamed of what they're doing, but make sure they understand what they're doing is incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
And let them know, no, having sex with your brother, sister, playing games like that are not appropriate because it leads to other things. So that's my take on it. No shame, teach them.
Thank you. And before Sister Deborah goes, unfortunately, pornography sells, sex sells, even sexual language sells. That's why you see it everywhere. Our children are being bombarded with these things more than we were, so, but it's important for them to know about this thing, educate them, equip them, and arm them so that they know how to handle it when it comes their way, because it is guaranteed 100% that they will be exposed to it in this information technology era that we live in. Sister Deborah.
I agree with everyone is saying that it has to be taught. Children need to know, whether it's sister, brother, uncle, father, whatever, that it's inappropriate for them to be touched in any way in their private parts or any other area for that matter, other than maybe a hug or a kiss, which is normal. Parents in the old days was always like, well, that's your uncle, that's your cousin, that's auntie so-and-so. And I don't believe that that's a good practice either, because now they're thinking that these people are related to them and they trust them, and they should be trusting them. Children are curious by nature, and we have to monitor what they're doing when they're alone. If they get too quiet, go check, see what's up, because you never know what they're doing. And that's my take on it. We just have to monitor them and be careful and watch them and teach them the difference and let them know that it's not appropriate.
Yeah, and real quick, don't send your child. I'm not saying every married man or every man is a pervert, but don't create an environment that would enable them to engage in sexual abuse. Educate them. For example, your child may go and visit an aunt who is married. The aunt is at work and she's left at home with the aunt's husband. And if this child has breasts or is a beautiful looking child, when that demon comes, it takes over the man, he can't tell if this is his niece or not. Don't create those environments. And if you have a maid or somebody who's working for you, we see all these things in African movies and people think it's just entertainment. They are happening. Don't expose your husband to temptation, by bringing the temptation into your house. Coach Carla has a hand up. Coach Carla, over to you. You can just make that your last word because we are running, we have 3 minutes to the end of the show.
I just want to challenge, just like you said, do not create an environment where things that are inappropriate can go wrong. How could, who would take up the challenge of removing the television or removing access to information that is detrimental? I mean, you don't create the environment. Yes, we want our children to be technologically savvy, but make the sacrifice of removing the things that are the open door for information that is beyond their control, and monitor it. If you choose to keep it in your home, then monitor it.
Exactly. And I think they have some TVs and laptops have parental guidance, so you can set it up where the children cannot access those things, but they have friends in school who have those things on their phones, so they can access it through their friends. But anyway, Nia, so let's go to the next person with the last word, because we have 2 minutes.
Brother Ronald, please, your last word.
My last word is pornography is not sex education, and incest is wrong. That's my last word.
Sister Deborah, your last word.
I was going to speak on what Reverend Pam has said about having them take it out, but then you have to realize that they have children and friends who have it and they're still accessible. So you just have to monitor and talk to them about what they've seen and what they know.
Sister Ruth?
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Mhm.
Our children, we were kids, come on. And there were things we knew we weren't supposed to be doing. If there's a will, there's a way. However, we go back to the education part and letting our kids know your royalty, your kings and queens, your princesses, behave as such and never lower your standard. But what if they don't know what their standard is? We have
Exactly.
to teach our children the standard and allow them to develop what they believe their standard is and what their code of ethics would be as a child. So as they grow, they have a standard. Okay, if this happens, I know I'm leaving. If
Mhm.
this happens, I know I'm running to mommy. If they need to have we got to work there so that they know. They let them develop their code of ethics. That's my last word.
And to parents, know that you are the role model in the family. You watch your language, watch what you watch, even if it is in the presence of just you and your wife. Know that children sometimes are peeping through the door to see what you are doing. So please be careful about the way you go about what you are doing. Reverend Pam.
Yes, I was gonna do a last word, but I just remember something which I must share, and it'll be my last word. Be careful with the people that you leave your children with. This story, the couple, I don't remember where I got it from, and I'm gonna paraphrase it, but the core of it is true. The parents were both, I think, in the medical field and always working. They had a living nanny who was always watching pornography at home and bringing the gate man to have sex with her. And the children saw what they were doing, and now the children started doing the same thing. And this was incest also. So be careful. I would say if you have a babysitter or someone at home, put cameras. It doesn't matter. Install cameras. Let them know that there are cameras. So that way, because cameras deter some of these things. So we need to educate our children. If you are a parent, don't say, oh, you don't know social media. Get on Facebook just to know what your children are watching on Facebook. I'm not promoting Facebook there. Mark Zuckerberg is not sponsoring the show, but get on social media, be informed about it so that you are empowered and equipped to educate your children. If you don't have the information, you can't give what you don't have. So get on it just because I was not on Facebook until we started the show. So I got on Facebook because of the show. You know, so I just educate yourself, parents. Arm yourself so that you can protect your children. Niason.
Thank you also very much for being here today. Next week, sexually transmitted grades, that is about education and the grades children obtain by trading their bodies with their professors and teachers for a pass mark, rather than actually staying and studying what they ought to study. So please, sexually transmitted grades next week. Thank you all for being with us today, and please make it a date on August the 14th. Thank you very much. Bye for now.
Thank you, and see all of you next week. Invite somebody. Thank you.